So I've been wanting to find another retrospective marathon to do, and I was thinking to myself, instead of a fighting game, let's try a different approach. I want to talk about a beat 'em up series that I really enjoy, and that franchise is called River City Girls. This was one of my favorite beat 'em ups, well, excluding this one. I'm gonna save a video for you real soon, just be patient. And I would like to see if I still have that same love and passion for this franchise as I did 6 years ago. So let's kick things off with River City Girls. Technically, I should be talking about River City Girls Zero since that game technically came out in 1994, but we only got an English version of that game in 2022. And that's a whole bunch of relocalization mumbo jumbo. For the sake of not confusing you guys, we'll just talk about River City Girls first. So River City Girls is a 2D beat 'em up that is developed by WayForward, the devs behind Shantae and the Mighty Switch Force series, and published by Arc System Works, which you guys may already know if you have been this channel for a minute. They are the folks behind Guilty Gear Strive and the upcoming Marvel Tokon. Now, funny enough, this isn't WayForward's first attempt at making a beat 'em up. They actually were involved with making Double Dragon Neon, and the head director of River City Girls also had involvement with making River City Ransom on the ground. In other words, they have a pretty good experience with not only the IP, but with the beat 'em up genre. Now, in the case of River City Girls, this is a spin-off of the River City or the Kunio games if you're in Japan, and it's in its own separate universe. This game was WayForward's way of taking this franchise to a more modern approach. So similar to how like the modern Shantae games are. They really just wanted to level up the core presentation and gameplay for the River City franchise. And oh boy, they did just that. So our story begins with our two protagonists, Misako and Kyoko, in detention. And suddenly these girls get an unknown message about their boyfriends, Kunio and Riki, getting kidnapped. Now, of course, they did not take that lightly at all.
Girls, please take your seats.
No, you take them!
And now we're just breaking out of school. And it seems like to me, everybody in River City just sees us as a threat. And I mean from students to the cheer team, to the police, to Timu Cyborg Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Luchadors. And for some reason, the Yakuza are also involved in this. What is going on? Like, what do we do to make these individuals so mad that they want to beat us up to death? And then we have these two snobby ass girls that are literally preying upon our downfall throughout most of our playthrough. Yeah, it ain't looking too sweet right now. Seems like the whole world is against us right now, but we're gonna figure some things out. The fun aspect of this plot, despite how straightforward it is pretty much taking the damsel in distress trope and put it in reverse. Since this is the first time in the series where Misako and Kyoko are the central protagonists for a River City game, which I gotta say, I really love the dynamic between these two. They're legit the polar opposites of each other in terms of personality. Misako is a lot more snarky and blunt and a bit of a hothead, but Kyoko, she's not the smartest tool in the shed. She has a very carefree vibe to her. If you mix those two together, it just creates a fun dynamic.
Zombies, surrounded by smelly trash. Yep. This day get any more gross? It's still early.
And as you're exploring throughout the overworld of the game, you do catch their commentary quite often throughout most of the adventure and their different interactions with the different NPCs of the game.
May I help you?
Hey Jeeves, we need some info.
The shelter is on 8th Street.
And my favorite interactions by far will have to be between the bosses.
But you weren't my best friend! You left a month later and I was all alone!
I got expelled for stealing basketball hoops.
It could be just me, it could be my sense of humor, but and the fact that this game is so self-aware and doesn't really take itself seriously, this aspect of the game just pushes so much charm and appeal to it. It's part of the reason why I really like the series. And if you're a veteran of the River City games or a fan of the Double Dragon games, oh goodness, there is a good amount of Easter eggs and references you will find across the entire game, and they'll really surprise you. When I noticed some of the Double Dragon character cameos, it put a smile on my face. since this is a different universe, everybody has new redesigns. Like you see the Double Dragon twins having their own dojo. You can see Skullmageddon as a shopkeeper at a pawn shop. Hell, you even see Marianne, and she runs her own shop downtown. Eventually, she even becomes a playable character in the sequel. As for the presentation, it's nice. You got a 30-second opening that's backed by lyrics. Some of the in-game cutscenes have this motion manga effect to tell the narrative, with voice acting included. And there's even character renders that you see in cutscenes that have this really neat, cartoony yet anime aesthetic art style that I really like. And the portraits change depending on the emotion and tone of the character. And the sprite work, it's just a chef kiss to me. They're vibrant, they're expressive, and there's even a unique animation intro for every boss. And then the environments and locales look nice as well, and they all interconnect with each other. It almost makes you want to come by here. Well, whenever there's not crime and violence around, the music, fairly decent. You get a good mix of both instrumental, retro, and chiptune sounds, and there's some songs with some lyrics in there. Now, what about the gameplay aspect? Did they cook in that department? Yes, they did. You do have your essential tools that make a beat 'em up. You have your quick, strong, and jumping attacks. You have your special moves. You have your grabs and throws. You have dashes, side steps, and you can pick up and throw weapons of your choice. And you also have a parry. That's satisfying right there. One of the unique mechanics that is in River City Girls is that you can recruit enemies as assists. Yup, you can beat up an enemy so bad that they will beg for forgiveness, and you can recruit them, and you use them as assists in battle. And they all have their own unique properties and abilities with their assists. Some can stun enemies, some are better for crowd control, and some are just good for combo starters. You can choose what assists could fit your playstyle. Now, I would also like to note that this is a beat 'em up with a level up system and RPG elements. So you do start from 0 at the start of the game, so you won't have your complete moveset, and your stats really won't be up to par. Your combo game is gonna be a little butt. It's not gonna look good. I'm sorry. As you defeating enemies, completing side quests and main quests, you do get stat increases, and you get new moves to expand your kit. You can also buy moves in the dojo, or you can go in item shops to either buy items to increase your stats, or you can buy accessories to equip on your character to get some passive buffs that can help you out in the game. Now, at the very start of the game, you are able to choose between Kyoko and Misako, and they both play pretty differently from one another. Their attacks and special moves fit their personalities. So for example, Misako is a lot more aggressive and she fights like a street brawler, while Kyoko is a lot more agile, good with crowd control, and has a surprisingly a good amount of area options. Also, she can dab on her opponent. Yeah, this might have aged like milk, but hey, it does fit her character. And like most beat 'em ups, there are cool combos that you can do in the game. Sure, yeah, you can mash the same consecutive light or heavy string if you want to. That is an option, but once you start gaining special moves and experimenting with your character's kit, you can pull some sick combos in this game, and there's some style to it. Now, the only thing that does suck is that, well, the first game did not have a training room, so if you want to find out like how to experiment with combos, you really just gonna have to run back and forth in between areas fighting the same enemies just to get something to work. And the boss fights, the boss fights in this game are fun. All the bosses in this game are very unique. They have their own various phases and their own gimmicks that you have to adapt and learn. And it doesn't really feel cheap. Like, there is a strategy behind all of it. And there's a lot of pattern recognition and trial and error that you have to go through. But once you get it down, you can take out most of the bosses in the game fairly easy, even on the harder difficulties. However, I will say there are 2 bosses in this game that gave me a lot of trouble. I will save that later. But in general, boss fights in this game are pretty fun, and they'll give you a challenge. Well, except for the Hibari fight. Your fight is absolute doo-doo water. If you suck at trying to angle this needle, oh my gosh, you will be in this fight a lot longer than you should. It is a creative fight, and if you aim the needle at the right spot, this fight definitely becomes easier. But if you suck at that, ooh, this fight will damn near take 10 minutes. And I am not proud of that. When it comes to the level design of River City Girls, it does take a different approach compared to most beat 'em ups. Even for me growing up and even playing some of the modern beat 'em ups, a lot of them have the linear side scrolling sections where you go to point A to point B, you fight these group of enemies, you move on to the next room, which is nothing wrong with that. You know, it's fast paced, it's straight to the point, and there's like very little downtime. However, in River City Girls, they go for a more different approach. Levels are a lot less linear, since every level is interconnected with one another, almost like a Metroidvania, and there are some collectibles that you can find throughout the map. And you know, there's some cool secrets and side quests that you can find here and there. Now, I do have one small gripe with the level design in this game, and it's mainly the backtracking, which doesn't really make the entire game, more like a very small, like 20%, 30% of the game. But there will be times where you're not able to access certain areas unless you do favors or collect a certain key item in order to progress in the game. Oh, you want to enter this mall? Well, go to the security guard's house, do a little platforming, steal his keys. You want some more intel on where your boyfriend's at? Oh, buy me a burger and I give you some intel. Oh, you want to enter the final boss room? Well, grab these conveniently placed C4s that were already set in the stage prior to you coming in, and boom, you know, property damage. As much as I am joking around about this, it's not super egregious. It slows the pace of the game down a little bit, but it's not a deal breaker. Before I go any further, I do want to note going forward, I will be discussing the in-game content of the game. So if you're interested in playing this series for yourself and you want to avoid some spoilers, I'll recommend stopping this video here. However, if you want to hear me yap some more, you can continue forward. So after a few ass kickings and a bit of intel gathering, we eventually come across the Sanwakai Tower district. And at this point in the game, you will be fighting the strongest enemies in the game. And there aren't any available shops from this section onward. You will be working your way up to the tower, fighting Yakuza and avoiding death traps and collecting explosives to bust through this big ass door. And only then you will come across the final boss of the game. God damn, you bad as hell. Okay, I'm liking what I see a little bit too much. We need to focus on the task at hand. Oh, she got some difficulty on her. She'll start sending guards after you, and she started doing this after image phase, and you have to guess which one is real and which one is fake. But then there's the third phase. She used this AoE water-based attack to throw you off your game, and when you think she's down for the count, nope, she has an extra phase. She combines her flame AoE attacks and her after image phase, and oh my goodness, ooh, this can be a lot. But if you manage to beat her, congrats, you beat the game. And it only took me 5 attempts. But unfortunately, we have to do the thing that I hate the most. Dropkick Sabuko out the window. And we end up landing in the hot springs where, oh my gosh, Kunio? Riki? Yeah, it turns out they were in the hot spring the whole time. And they weren't kidnapped. And they don't recognize Misako and Kyoko as their girlfriends. Yet they mention Mami and Hasabe. Oh, we're the River City side chicks. So you telling me this whole game, we be giving false information, committed tons of illegal crimes, and we defeated the head of the Yakuza, all for nothing, just to find out we're the River City side chicks the whole time, and Kunio Riki just doesn't recognize us. Ooh, this ending is a strange one. But luckily, there is an additional ending. So after you beat the game the first time around, you do get to unlock Kunio and Riki as playable characters, but we also receive a Hasabe charm, which is a key item to getting the secret ending of the game. In order to get the second charm, we'll have to destroy all the Sabu statues that we saw prior in the different areas of the game. Once you destroy all of them, you'll eventually get the second charm, and we'll just go back to the same boss room as we did before, and we get to fight Hasabe and Mami. And yeah, you get to fight 2 of them at once, and they both share very similar moves to Misako and Kyoko. Oh my gosh, she just deleted my health. Luckily, both of them do share the same health, and honestly, their phases are a lot more tolerable and easier to deal with compared to Sabuko's. Depending on which character that you take out, this might be the easiest fight or the hardest fight in the game. I'm so serious. If one of the girls gets knocked down, the other gets a power boost. And oh, sweet Jesus, for the love of God, save Hasabe for last. I promise you, mommy's damage is ridiculous. With no trial and error, boom, we won. Though for some reason, after beating these two knuckleheads, they do tell Kyoko and Misako that Kunio and Riki barely remembers us. Apparently, we only dated them in a 16-bit game. Oh, they're talking about River City Girls Zero. Oh, this is foreshadowing right here. Yeah, it turns out Hasabe and Mami were the main girls that appear in the Kunio games, and Misako and Kyoko were introduced in River City Girls Zero or Shin Deketsu Koha Kunio Tachi Nobe. Again, this is a Super Famicom game that came out in Japan first before we even got it in America. We pretty much rinse and repeat the same events that happened prior to the original ending, except Kunio and Riki recognize us.
Come on, let's get out of here.
I'm starving. Let's get a Merv burger. You girls want to join us?
I don't think I like this ending too much either. I mean, I guess it's somewhat better than the ending that we have before, but I'll be so honest, none of these endings make a lick of sense to me, and I have a lot of questions, but I'm sure we're not supposed to take the plot of this game too seriously. But despite that, I really do enjoy this game, and I really feel like it's safe to say that this game still ages pretty well after 6 years. From the combat to the presentation to the setting, its characters, this was a really good entry to the series, and I find it pretty memorable.